You're listening to the KYLO Show, and I'm your host, Danny Silk.
And I'm Brittney Serpell. The KYLO Show is a podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what, and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. And it starts right now. Hello and welcome to the KYLO Show. We are excited to be here with you today.
And we're live.
Yes, we are.
I am. How many times have I said that?
Every single time.
Well, I'm trying to make a point here. I'm trying to get the point across.
I open the show exactly the same ways. So I sound like a recording, but I'm not. I just don't have anything else to come up with.
So I just thought I'd parrot that.
Perfect.
Yep.
It's great. Okay.
We're live.
So not a recording. We're about to go to a live question.
That we were recording.
But it's live.
It's live people.
Yes.
We're talking to live people, and we're trying to keep it live.
It's true.
While we record it.
So let's go to the question.
Great.
Hi, Candy. How are you doing today?
Great.
Hi, Candy.
Good to see you.
The KYLO U alumni on here.
We love having our KYLO U alumni. It's so much fun. We've had a few of them on in this last little season, so it's very fun. Well, Candy, you came to us with a question, so why don't you give us your question and we will do all that we can to help you.
Great. Sounds good. Yeah. So basically, because of KYLO University, I have gotten a lot better boundaries, healthier relationships on my part. Like I believe I'm trying to do my part in that, let's just say. And there's a couple of situations that there's not been that decision for them to have a plan for them to have a healthier relationship on their part. They're not doing their part like I would like. That's not up to me, right? So
good catch.
I'm in control of me. And so basically what I had tended to do in the past was I would go, here, I'll take your responsibility too. So I'll have some control, but that didn't seem to work too well for me. So now I'm trying to, have conversations that are like, when you come up with a plan, let me know. And I'm waiting for a while, still waiting on a couple of relationships. And so while you're waiting, what I've been doing is asking the Lord, I'm listening. Just tell me my part. I would really love to hear what I need to correct. Is there more that, I just want to make sure I'm doing my part, but not taking theirs. So that's my question. How do you know the difference?
That's great. I mean, I think your awareness of what you used to do and what you're trying to do is beautiful. It probably feels a little bit foreign. Honestly, like you're waiting for the Lord. Okay, tell me. And he might be quiet because he's like, you're doing it. This is it, girl. You good job. Stay over there in that lane. Don't cross the street. Stay over here. This is where your garden is. So I would imagine that in that releasing of control, and realizing like, oh, I can't take on this part that is not mine. It probably feels some tension of, what do I do with my hands? What do I do? What am I supposed to do with these? Because I'm used to carrying a bunch of stuff.
Talladega Nights.
Yes. What do I do? What do I do? And I think that's, it sounds a little bit like the tension that you're in is I'm used to carrying a burden that's not mine to carry. And I've laid it down at the Lord's feet.
And called it love.
And yeah. And now I feel anxious, like I'm not doing a good job with what I'm meant to do. Because I don't have this. My hands aren't full. So I think that you sound like you're in the right spot in that you are paying attention to being a powerful person, keeping your love on, waiting for them to engage. When you've communicated, I'm here, you let me know, which is really all that we can do. And the keeping your heart tender and towards them, ready when they are, is the posture we're meant to take. Not knock, 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 knock. Are you home yet? I didn't know if you were home yet. Knock, 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 knock. Because then that's not waiting. That's aggravating. So It sounds to me like you are in the right spot. It's probably just a bit more uncomfortable and somewhat foreign, which is hard.
Right. And I would throw in there that when love has been defined by controlling behavior, it's actually a redefinition of love in freedom. And it's kind of confusing because me being so involved, doing so much of your side of the relationship means I loved you. And I was pouring my life into loving you. And then I stopped doing that. And somewhere in my brain says, I don't love you as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not true at all. I'm actually loving you. God is spirit, and where the spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, not control. So there isn't anybody that loves us more than Jesus, and he's not trying to control you at all. He wants you to follow him. He didn't lasso us and drag us behind him. So this is a retraining time in your own heart. And so I would be looking for relationships that are respectful, that are cooperative, that are responsible. People are responsible for their half of it. And I'd be giving my time and access to those relationships. And these other relationships that are waiting for you to kick the door in and come and drag them out of bed, I just let them cook. Just let them cook longer. They're not done yet. Just leave them in the oven and let those cook. And some of them, they just, for whatever reason, would rather find a replacement for you. And they will. They'll find someone else that will come and kick their door in and drag them out of bed every day and make them do their stuff. And they're like, well, I'd rather let someone else take all the responsibility of my life and never grow into that. And you're like, okay, well, I can't do anything about that. You're an adult now, or you're an adult or whatever. I can't change that about you. So, and what I will do is I will invest in these relationships where these people value and protect freedom, respect, and responsibility. And that's actually the kingdom. That's the love of the kingdom, is where it's a mutuality, it's a unity, it's an honor. And Candy, as you do that, what begins to happen is the quality of your life begins to grow past what you thought was possible, because you were giving so much of it away in the chaos and the pain and the punishment and the anxiety of these old relationships. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now it's just the follow through. I'm getting there. I definitely have made a lot of progress.
Fantastic.
And yes, today I felt like when I was praying about it, I felt like the Lord was just saying, what are you going to do when you grow up? Like, kind of just lightheartedly, like saying, why don't you plan out your life and have some fun and enjoy your life, while you're doing the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
And I love the advice of having some healthy relationships that take that responsibility, ownership, and that bring fun and enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the unhealthy relationship creates sorrow and this sucking experience, to where I don't have this beautiful garden of fun and joy to give away. I'm drained. I don't have any energy, and I feel hopeless. So I think that's even what you're saying, that the Lord's ushering you into, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's like asking a kid, like, the sky's the limit, girl. What kind of fun could we have?
Yeah.
Which is the invitation of, like, let's return to joy. You have had this absence of joy just because you are overstepping in areas and you've grown and you've moved away from that, but it's really a new season for you. So it feels like you've got a whole new garden that you get to tend to and plant all sorts of fun things. And so, man, I would be looking for what beautiful things do I want to invite into this environment.
And maybe that's the answer to your question. How do I know where the line is? And it's joy. Am I enjoying this relationship? No. Okay, then I'm doing too much of your job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love what somebody named Danny Silk said at KYLO School. He said, enjoy.
Yeah. And
He
again, I
just
say
kept saying,
rejoice.
enjoy. And I was like,
Rejoice.
yes, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
do that.
Keep reloading with joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the key really is, are you enjoying me? If you're enjoying me, then spend more time with me, because that leads to more joy. But if you're not enjoying me, communicate that to me. Let me know that so that I can make adjustments. If I don't make adjustments, spend less time with me.
Really good. I feel like I gave a heavy backpack up this last several months, and I'm not taking it back. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate KYLO University for sure. It really
Awesome.
did impact me. So, and this is great. I love your answer. So I have permission to go have fun, right?
Please.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's your
Go.
homework.
Go chase down the joy.
Yep. Thank you.
Good.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Candy.
Great to see you again.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
I think often we are not looking for joy as the meter in some of our
I know.
relationships.
We just kind of feel like there's some big reward in being miserable. Like, gosh, I was so miserable for so long, so rewarding. Like, no, it's not rewarding at all. You just feel like you wasted your life.
Yeah.
Which is true. You just wasted your life being anxious and sad and hurt and feeling powerless. And like, right, stop it.
Mm.
Stop it. And, this is the practice of boundaries. We, in our KYLO 5, we talk about, honoring healthy boundaries. It is the courage to let go of things that are unhealthy. And so much of the practice of letting go of things is so scary to us, but you cannot grab onto the good stuff if you don't let go of the unhealthy stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the practice of healthy boundaries is, I'm not going to do your part. I'm not going to have disrespectful conversations. I'm not going to engage in an irresponsible loop with you. I'm not going to defend myself in a conversation. I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm not a victim. I'm powerful. And every time I participate in a disrespectful conversation, I'm not a victim. I'm a volunteer. And that's a lot of ownership. And that's kind of shocking to a lot of folks that think that they're a victim. Like, how long did you do it twice? You did it twice. Okay. Yeah. Did you think it was coming that second time? You knew it was? Okay. Yeah. How about that 900th time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You're a volunteer.
That courage piece of setting a boundary and what it takes to set a boundary and what it takes to walk away. She's trying to figure out how I have held on to this and participated in it for so long. It feels foreign and wrong to not have it.
Absolutely.
Which so many people don't know that they're missing joy because they're walking around with this painful exchange over and over again.
Yeah. And somehow being miserably connected to you is love.
Yeah. I don't have very many disrespectful relationships. So I think it's hard for me sometimes to find how that is love, because as soon as I do have a disrespectful exchange, if it's one of my most intimate relationships, I'm trying to figure out how do we get reconnected, what happened. But if that's just the continued experience that I walk into, I'm doing all that I really can to I don't want this around. And I'm grateful. I grew up in a pretty respectful home. We did this from more of my life than less of my life. There's some rocky seasons in there, those are the, I don't remember too much of it, which is good.
I'm so thankful that you don't remember any of that.
I do remember having some pretty harsh exchanges with Mom when I was a teenager, but we've worked those ones out. So that's good. But yeah, it is the courage. Yeah, I think about all the time, Ben and I, in our early years of marriage, the courage it took for him to set a healthy boundary to require respect from me. And had I not leaned in and said, okay, you're worth respecting, and I'm going to adjust my behavior because I want this relationship. And like you said, it's a privilege to be in this relationship. If I wouldn't have adjusted to that, gosh, it would be miserable between the two of us still to this day.
Totally.
Which is not what I want for all of our listeners.
Yeah, or a training ground for your kids.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when you train up world changers and they confront you on when you are being disrespectful to your spouse. That's another fun thing. Addie has no problem telling me, Mom, you're being rude, or Mom, okay, enough. Or I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback.
Adjust.
Powerful little person.
Adjust, for sure.
That's true. She has no problem whatsoever to tell me when I'm being no fun to be with, which is good. I shouldn't complain about that. I'm not complaining about it.
Have you tried this coffee yet? It is so good.
This is how he segues into our sponsor every time.
Yeah.
I do. I still have some in here. It's
so good. It's so yummy. It's just filling my senses. I love it. Pro-Life Coffee Roasters are our new sponsor.
They are.
Yeah. They're partners in pro family, everything. They are rooting with us, running with us in the whole Healthy Families Are Going to Save the World. Just wonderful people. Built a coffee roasting business for 20 plus years. They are, they're going from the bean to the brew. I mean, they are going from Ethiopia all the way to wherever they roast it. And, it's kingdom minded partners that we love. And really, if we're not using their product, we're not recommending it.
If you didn't know, another probably favorite of the KYLO Show is Serpell. Yeah. He loves their coffee too.
Yeah.
So, join us, be with the greats in our coffee. And
this is, I forget what they call it. They call it specialty grade coffee.
I'm learning all sorts of things with them being our sponsor.
10%, the top 10% of the world's coffee makers get that grade. These guys are right up there.
They have done it.
So,
which means that they're going for excellence in everything that they're doing.
They are. They're winning.
Mm-hmm. So if you're curious by all of this talk, go to prolifecoffeeroasters.com/KYLO and you'll get a discount.
You get a 15% discount with KYLO.
Blue light added. Special right there.
There we go. Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to jump into our next question and we'll see you in a moment.
Hi, Tisa.
Hi, Danny. Hi, Brittney.
How are you? Good to see you again.
Hi, good to see you both too.
Yep. Another KYLO U grad here.
I know.
Look at this. We're just lining them up today.
It's true. We've had quite a few today in this season, so we're excited.
Fantastic. Yep. Well, Tisa, we hear you have a really great question for us. What is it?
Okay. Yes. So let me see. Hopefully I articulate this right. So when you get a glimpse of God's promises over your life and you're anticipating, you're excited for it, how do you navigate the tension and not idolize the promise, but be obedient in the waiting?
Great question. Yeah. Well, I think I think being patient isn't how long you wait, it's how well you wait, right? It's how you it's not how long it takes, it's how we choose to behave in the waiting. And so that speaks directly to your question. I think that, some of what enters the, uh, like that waiting time is, what do I do with what's right in front of me? Because, looking for tomorrow, it makes me anxious. Like I'm anxious because I'm thinking about tomorrow all the time, and it's something I have no control over. And
Yes.
and then thinking about tomorrow, it makes me, I regret what I missed. I regret what I didn't do. But living in the presence is where there's peace. So living in the present time, what am I doing right here, right now, with the opportunities in front of me, with the relationships that are around me, with the gifts that are in me? Like, what am I doing right here, right now? That's what really takes me out of, someplace I don't control, and it keeps me out of over spiritualizing or over dramatizing tomorrow. I think a lot of people who are single, and they think, oh man, being married, oh, I just can't wait to be married. Being married is going to be, and then they get married and they go, okay, this is not what I had in mind at all. Oh, this is work, baby. Or I want to be in the ministry. I just want to be in the ministry. The ministry is going to be so amazing. As soon as I get in the ministry, and then you get in the ministry, you go, this is not at all what I thought I was going to be. This is work. So careful what you wish for, because here it comes.
Mm-hmm. Very true. I love the it's about how you wait rather than how long you wait. We got to go to Bethel because our daughter graduated first year, and I don't know if
awesome.
if you heard Bill's message. It was somewhere at the very beginning of May. I don't know, probably
First year School of Ministry and Bill Johnson.
Well,
there may be some people that just aren't like, we're just talking old friends like Tisa here. Yeah.
Sorry, context for everybody. But Bill Johnson did this message on Sunday morning, and he was kind of talking about sometimes we're presented with opportunities that feel like the fulfillment of what we're supposed to be doing. Like you get glimpses of it. Oh, and our ambition takes over and actually hijacks the destiny that God has for us because of our ambition. And I hear a little bit of this. How well am I waiting when I've seen that there's goodness coming? Do I try and take it on as my own and make it happen? Because I could put things right in front of it and say, yes, and we are there, baby. Let's go.
Exactly.
But it's really this place of, oh gosh, I don't want to hijack the goodness that God has for me just because I could make things happen. Because there's favor on our life, there's calling, there is just anointing. And so we could disrupt the process, and maybe God's not saying yes right now because he wants you to do a good job stewarding some things because he's got something even better. So understanding what is the goal that God has for you in the waiting is probably way better than the time frame that we are willing to negotiate. Like, I don't like this time frame, God. I would like to speed this up.
Yeah, little evangelism dating.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I that is not. I think that's the place of this tension of not letting my ambition or letting my own will get in the way of the destiny that God really has. So, there's glimpses of things that people see all the time. There's promises that God has on our lives. Are we willing to wait and be in the season that God has for us when he gives that yes to us? I think that's even the test of our integrity and our characters. God, did I trust you fully to wait for you to say, here you go? So I think that tension of you see it, it's there. God is good. God is faithful. Can I steward this season really well? And, that's what I'd be looking at. Is I think you told Ben, it's not where you want to be in 5 years, but who do you want to be in 5 years? And I think that's even part of this in there is if that's over there waiting for me and I know it's coming, well, who do I want to be when that moment shows up? I want to be the best version of me and get all that God has fully promised. So I give that to that yes.
I remember when we lived in Weaverville, I just got saved, and Chris Valentin said to me, "I see you as a pastor in Weaverville one day," and I was like, "Really? Oh my gosh! The only pastor I know is Bill Johnson. I want to be like Bill." Yeah, okay. So I started searching all these ministry schools, and I almost went to Bethany Bible College. But I just couldn't pull it together. I couldn't make it happen. I was married. We had a new baby, and that wasn't going to happen. So, but I was trying to, okay, I'm going to be a pastor. So I'm going to do this. And instead, we ended up working for a group home agency where we had 6 teenage juvenile offenders that were in these homes, and Sherry and I we were either house parents or we were the relief staff for the house parents. And we did that for 5 years. And I ended up as a social worker after that. And I was a social worker for foster care and adoptive care for another 5 years. So we spent 10 years in group home life and social work. And then I get a call from Bill, and he says, "Will you come be my associate pastor?" And I didn't realize that for 10 years, I was being prepared for that word that I had actually forgot about. Because when I got to Weaverville, Chris said, "This is that word I gave you." I said, "What word?" He goes, 13 years ago, I gave you this word. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So it really isn't how long you wait as much as how well you manage what's right in front of you. And I think that is, I think that's really the key, is that I stay present, I stay grateful, I stay engaged, I stay diligent, I steward the moment that I'm in, and I don't over glamorize or fantasize tomorrow and miss today.
So good.
Was that helpful? Hopefully that was helpful.
Very
You're
much so.
encouraged.
Very much so.
Awesome. Well, Tisa, thank you so much. Thanks for being on here, and thanks for a great question. And we are just praying for your fulfilling today, that you are just going to be so fulfilled and satisfied in today, every day.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you, Brittney. Love you both.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks so much. God bless you.
God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. She's a faithful girl. She's a faithful lady. She's been showing up in our world again and again.
She has, and she is always an encourager.
Yeah.
If you see on Instagram or Facebook, or if you get in KYLO U, you will be encouraged by Tisa. She has the encourager anointing, so which is always fun to be around.
Yeah.
And I think the topic, when you've heard the promises of God and He's got goodness for you, but you want it now.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I remember Eric Johnson preached the message at Bethel. Gosh, it was probably 10 years ago. I think it was called What to Do Until Then, or something like that. And, he's 100% deaf in one of his ears and 80% deaf in his other ear, would travel around the world, preaching about God's healing, watch hundreds of people get their hearing back while he continues in almost total deafness, And it was, it's quite a testimony, pretty powerful hope and faith that you watch other people get what you're praying for and hoping for and needing, and you rejoice with them.
Yeah.
You rejoice in their healing, and it doesn't put you in a judge God moment. It doesn't put you in an ungrateful for all the things that are going right in your life, and
Mhm.
it doesn't put you in a competitive jealousy with the people that are getting what they needed.
Yeah.
So it's a total character test thing
Mhm.
that you live in,
Totally.
hoping for
I mean,
tomorrow.
I can't think of Chris Gore. He oversaw the
Mm-hmm.
healing rooms,
Yeah.
and his daughter's a paraplegic.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ben just got a photo. I don't know who it was from. It may have been from Seth, but he's in this other country, and he has seen, I don't even know what the number would be, thousands of healings, miraculous. I mean, people getting out of wheelchairs, people completely deaf. I mean, he has seen miracle upon miracle. And then he led the healing rooms at Bethel, which is, front row seat to the supernatural showing up. And he's that same perspective as like, he's just faithfully serving, chasing after the goodness of God while still praying for his daughter to be miraculously healed. But this photo that Ben got, I think he's in an Asian nation, and everyone with their hand up in the air, which looks like the entire room was healed of something.
Yeah.
And the ability to steward the, holding fast to what God has promised and actively pursuing the good things of God and rejoicing and serving and waiting for yours.
And the thing that'll rip you right out of that is where you judge God. And when you judge God, you're like, if I had that kind of power,
Right.
here's what I would do with
Yeah.
it. And it rips you right out of what God is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because all you can focus on is what he's not doing. And what he's not doing is that one thing that I want him to do. And you miss all the other stuff that's going on, all the other stuff that works, everything that, all the blessing, all the stuff about your life that works, you appreciate none of it because this one thing that you said, okay, God, I'm gonna punish you.
Yeah.
Until you give me what I want. Like, that's, how does that work for your toddler when that happens? Yeah, well, that's what we're doing. We're just throwing a fit because I didn't get this one thing. And this one thing may be my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
This one thing may be avoiding bankruptcy. This one thing may be heal my cancer. It's not like it has to be a small thing. It's not a small thing. It's just, you're not in control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, staying engaged in what God is doing and then thankful, worshiping, obedient in the now with faith, hoping. Yeah. But here I stay present and engaged and faithful and obedient today.
I was reading Numbers 13 and 14 where Joshua and Caleb go to Promised Land. All the spies go.
Yeah.
And they're the only two that come back with a different perspective than everyone else. But what happens to the Israelites is, they have been wandering around the desert for far longer than necessary already. And God has shown up time and time again. Miraculous, crazy things God is doing. Aside from leading them in pillars and fire and feeding them from nothing to an abundance and healing them and protecting them, these spies go in and they don't see or remember the goodness of God. And so they just spread it like a plague, which I think is the other part, is that if you hang out with people that can't see the goodness of God, that can't remember his favor and willing to steward that, it kind of gets on you.
Yeah.
Which is why it's really important that you like Tisa's a really great example. She's an encourager. She's in a waiting season, but she is an encourager. So she's like the type of person you want around when you're in that waiting season, because you are like, all right, we're at the gym. I don't know when the show is, but we're gonna get ready. And I think I often look back at those chapters to think about, man, I want to be ready to see God's promises when I'm looking at the enemy, when I'm looking at the danger, when I'm looking at the impossible, and I can go, but God did all these things, so he said he's giving this to us. Because what happens is, Joshua and Caleb are the only ones that get to go to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only ones. And the rest of the Israelites don't get to go. It's their children, like 21 and under. I'm like, oh gosh, rough.
Yeah.
But that's where we're supposed to stay. That's where we're supposed to be in the season of waiting, is that we're supposed to be able to look back and go, but God's promises are true. And he said, so that when I face this moment, I can say yes to it.
And it is not easy, because Joshua and Caleb were from the same generation of those who are led out of slavery.
Yep.
Yeah. So 400 years in slavery. So America's like 230 years old, whatever it is, somewhere in there. And almost twice as long, you were enslaved.
Yeah.
So everybody you ever knew didn't own a rock, didn't make a decision for themselves. They were just enslaved. They were victims. And when you lead those people out of slavery, put them into freedom. Hey, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? They are just stuck in centuries of victim training, which is why it's so devastating to keep someone in a victim mentality. It's so devastating. It is so evil to keep someone in. So to keep moving them through that towards powerful, free love, and out of, there's a bad guy, there's another bad guy, all these bad guys, God's a bad guy. I mean, they're murmuring and complaining the whole time.
I'm so frustrated.
Manna and quail or whatever, that didn't work out. But, God's miraculous provision for them every day. And they're like, I'm going to eat.
And even his mercy when they're idiots is amazing.
It is amazing, and then, they cross over into the promised land, and they have some victory, but then pretty soon they just dissolve into forgetting Joshua, forgetting God, forgetting all that God did. Because now they're living in cities they did not build, and vineyards they did not plant, and what cisterns they did not dig. And they're like, we don't need anything. We're self-sustaining. They're grateful for nothing. Yeah. Complain about everything, grateful for nothing. It's just like, okay, these are the things to stay away from. Why? Because they disconnect you from your Father.
And when you're disconnected from your Father, it's hard to be preparing for the season that He's can't wait to usher you into.
Yeah, or you don't want it. You want something else. You think you're the Father. You think you're God. And you're like, oh.
It's not a good place to
That's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So all in all, stay connected to the Father is basically what we're saying.
Be present.
The tangent that we just
Don't be anxious. Don't be regretful. Be grateful.
Yeah. And steward things well, and, be present in today, and do the best you can to become a whole and healthy person.
Yep.
Because that's going to create a whole and healthy family someday.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us on the KYLO Show. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the KYLO Show. To submit a question, go to thekyloshow.com. Never miss an episode by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel.
And don't forget, whole healthy families are going to save the world. See you next time.